welcome to this week's episode of Crypto City. Tonight we have a special guest coming on, Jacqueline Drake. We're going to talk to her in a few minutes, but I just want to take a few minutes to talk about this past week. We did the watch party for Centra Aurora. If you remember, she came on the first week as our season opener guest. We did a little watch party for her new AI movie or a series, and if you want to see it, you can go on YouTube and watch it there. Also, we will be this season doing the trainings that I'm doing with AI called the Human Layer. There'll be one per month. If you missed the first one, you can go back and watch it on Discord or on YouTube. And if you're not in our Discord group, you can hit me up. I'll send you the link to join, but it's just going to take you straight to the YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it there, that's fine. The slides are in the Discord, which is why the Discord's really nice to have access to. So everything each week we put up in our Discord, along with the contact information for whoever the guest was and the slides. So if you haven't joined that in the previous episodes, please feel free to join at any time. If you have any trouble, let me know and I'll help you get in. We want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. We will start with Rich from Hume AI and Lux VR. Rich is now doing a special learning series through Hume AI called Higher Level, and he's teaching people how to do marketing with AI and using special programs. So if you haven't heard about it, check it out. It's really cool, and I think everybody, could benefit from it on some level. Some of it is more for business, but there's definitely some things involved in there that you could use on a personal level too, if you're looking for something to help elevate your marketing. Kip VR, who built this world and helps maintain it for us. Great friend to us as well over the years. We have DJ Marcus, who's running the camera system that he built for us. And, he's done a lot of work on it, tweaked it over the years. This camera system allows us to get all these different angles just to make the finished product look that much better and more professional and more entertaining. We have Fuchsia from the Virtual Fitness Group, runs that group on Instagram and Facebook and takes us all into FitXR and other fitness apps so that we can work out together. Does not feel like you're working out, feels like you're having fun and a lot of competition too. So if you're not part of that and you work out in VR and you want to be part of it, reach out on Instagram. There's a poster on the wall. Also, you can check in the Discord. Her contact information is there. Then we have Tink from Beauty of Tink, Tinker Love 1980, doing lots of community projects and helping people promote their events in worlds here in VR. She also does work with people outside of VR in the real world, trying to help make the community a better place. We have Ice Cold Stacks and Ty Sky the DJ from BYOB Events, running streaming events in here along with other events to help bring the community closer together. And Stacks also on her own is running the Ice House Casino and Lounge and over in Horizon, but rumor has it they're coming over here into VR chat. So fingers crossed that will be here soon. So we are very grateful. And Cyber Shay is also part of our sponsors and an amazing part of this community, doing all types of things. This woman has learned more things, VR, XR, AI, all different things related. And she's just been a powerhouse of sucking in all the knowledge and then churning out. She's an author. She's part of the Block Collective, and she's done a ton of things here in VR with everyone. So thank you to all of our sponsors for sticking by us season after season and helping us grow. So tonight we are bringing on Jacqueline Drake, and she is an amazing person doing a lot of stuff with healing and arts. So if you will all take a moment to help welcome her to the stage. Jacqueline, please join us.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Hi. Hi.
Welcome. Please grab a seat.
Okay. Let me maneuver over here. There we go.
Such a beautiful avatar.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think I like to think I'm a mermaid in all realities now.
We love that. So, healing and art, two things that a lot of people in the metaverse are actually actively involved in different ways. But you actually do this as a whole profession and bringing people into VR, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But let's talk a little bit about, how your background got you involved with helping people and what you do in the real world with patients and helping people with their mental health.
Yeah. So, it's a lot in a nutshell, and I'll be able to put it all together for you. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. This is absolutely amazing, you guys. I do a lot of interviews, of course, and I have my own television show too. But this is the first time I've been in an avatar. So this is
I love that.
so cool. And since I do a lot in VR anyways, it's just amazing. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for showing up. This is amazing. So my background is really interesting. A lot of people ask, like, how did all of this come together? The Drake Center is actually, I think, of an accumulation of everything that I've done. And it really has, I don't know, put everything together. There's no other word for it. My background, actually, I originally went to school to become a nurse. So there's that. And I worked in the ER for many years. I met my husband that way. He's an emergency room doctor. And along the way there, I actually left the ER. And long story, we got married and we moved on. And I decided to go back to school. And I went back to art school. And, but there was part of me that really still had a toe in the medical side of it. And I really wanted to go into art therapy and, like, how else can we heal people? I was saving lives every day, but I knew that there was something more that we could be doing. And my passion, and to be honest, I think I was an artist my whole entire life. I mean, most of us are, right? We growing up and we get told, no, you got to do this instead. And that was kind of what happened to me. My parents were very much like, no, you need to go to school and get a practical job. And so that's what I did. And so anyways, that happened. And then along the last 20 years, I literally have built, I had an art gallery. I've done so many things in the art space. My own artwork is a lot of places. I've built several platforms now in spatial, which you guys might be aware of what that is. And so long story short, so there was a lot of art involved in the background. And then once I had closed my art gallery in 2020, and it was, of course, COVID and everything. And actually, my new book, I actually wrote about this side of it, which was the mental side of it, right? Of closing my own gallery and everything. It was an amazing space, first of all. So, and it kind of reminds me of something like this, where I was actually having a lot of events and open mic poetry nights, open mic music nights. And it was just a really beautiful space for people to come together, express themselves, and still be able to heal, right? And there was, of course, a lot of art as well. And my own art was there. And it was just a really special place. And so when I closed it, I got a little sad is kind of what happened. And started to, at that point, I was using VR for meditation, because a lot of my my work is teaching people meditation and mindfulness, especially in the work at the Drake Center that we do now. But along the way, even at my gallery, I would teach people. I had meditation classes, mindful eating classes, mindful journaling classes, and really just teaching people how to be more mindful, really. And so that kind of led, and then I ended up closing the gallery in 2020, and I literally decided to use the headset as my own way of healing, because I was helping people with it and I knew I could create in it at that point. Fitness, I stumbled upon, and there's a whole piece of the fitness, and I'm hoping to meet Fuchsia, who you were talking about in your intro, because I do a lot of fitness as well. In VR, but I literally stumbled upon it though. In my case, it wasn't really a thing early 2020, right? So I had stumbled upon it and was like, oh my goodness. And then I have many stories of my children hitting me with Nerf guns as I was moving around, shooting me with Nerf guns, and they're like, "What is mom doing?" But yeah. So my journey with VR has been really interesting. I didn't go to school for it, so it's definitely something that I've been learning along the way, and so I just literally learning it. But yeah, it's been amazing. And then we go to the Drake Center. So long story on that, my husband and I decided to build a center where people could heal differently. And the Drake Center, we actually use ketamine. It's a ketamine-assisted psychotherapy center. And we use ketamine as a psychedelic. And, my work is pretty amazing, I think. I work with psychedelics and VR. It's pretty cool. And art. So there's that. I mean, it's really cool to talk about. So I'm excited. But so there's a lot on that aspect of even talking about psychedelics and really what that's doing right now in the world, right? And anyway, so that's my whole background. There's a lot there, but I have a nursing background, and then I also have this crazy art background. My own art took off, hence why I had the gallery. My own art is really big, large installations, really mixed media pieces. Most of my work, of course, is in hospitals, a lot of cancer centers, crisis centers, but then again, a lot of hotels and restaurants too. So, but it really has been in the healing space. And I've always worked with patients and clients one-on-one, working and using the creative process as a way of healing. And so I literally brought that into the Drake Center and actually have it up there. That was my gallery when I closed that, and that was in 2020. And then we built the Drake Center, and it's been amazing. It really has, to help so many people. And I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with psychedelics and really that part of doing the deeper work, but we treat anxiety and we treat depression and we treat PTSD. And the way it works for us, we get a patient really ready for that experience. And, on the nursing side of it, it's a very safe, I'm monitoring vitals the whole time. And my husband, like I said, is an ER doc and I'm an ER nurse. So there's this level of safety that you're in as well during this. And our patients, literally, I like to think that they look like they're sleeping to me. But, they have an eye mask on and some pretty cool beats. And they go through a journey within themselves. And the journey becomes like these insights, right? That they get into, let's say, like prime example of like anxiety or depression, maybe a person's feeling that they're all alone in the world, right, with depression. And then they get this experience within themselves that they're actually not only feeling it, but they emotionally in it. And then they get this different realization, like, oh my gosh, I'm not by myself. There's this whole world to live for, or whatever it may be. And then that insight becomes so ingrained in these experiences that it's so real for them. And so integration, which is what our specialty is at the Drake Center, is how do you make these insights into your life to make changes, right? Thing to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be depressed because I saw this or whatever. But it's a whole nother level to be able to get that and to really make that work in your life. And
the after part of program.
Yeah. And so that's where I love, because that's where I bring in, and the fitness part has been really fascinating to me, bringing that part in, because once a person starts feeling better in their headspace, right, they're like, whoa, I feel like maybe I need to move a little bit now. Maybe I could start to move. These are people that may not want to go to the gym or, even get off the couch at this point, right? But at this point, they're like, wow, I'm starting to feel a little hopeful, a little better. Maybe I should move. And then I'm like, okay, come on. Do I have a workout for you? And then I introduce them to all sorts of stuff. And that's kind of what my YouTube channel is about. And my show is literally about introducing people to a different way, not only to heal, but to experience things, right? And so, and that just helps. And then, of course, I kind of, really focus on the medical side of how this device is really working as well on our headspaces. So, being a pain inhibitor and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
So when, so you've talked about the fact that these are people who have anxiety, depression, we see a lot of that in the world today. It's a lot more, people are a lot more open about it than they used to be in the past. People used to hide that from everyone, and a lot more people are reaching out and getting help, which is a great thing. And I feel that, you mentioned, art, and you mentioned working out, and both of those things, help the brain produce different emotional things, the oxytocin, everything. So with you, bringing them in, putting them into the, under the psychedelic emotional state. So is that coming out into the artwork? Are you having them produce artwork from this? Because I would imagine the visuals that they have going on, they would come out with some real inspiration.
Yeah, there's a lot. And it's actually amazing. One of my, in the spatial gallery that I've built, one of the galleries are actually patient art exhibit, which has been really cool to show. Our patients, we do all sorts of art. I'm mixed media, so I'm open to anything. And so sometimes, if they're open to it, I'll put a headset on, then I'll put a headset on a patient, and we'll both drop into, let's say, multi-brush or open brush and create together in these spaces. And to be able to recreate, a psychedelic experience is just a whole nother level of crazy cool, right? But I will say, majority of the time, though, you guys, when I'm talking about these psychedelic experiences, and this is the part that we have a lot of conversations about this, especially with our patients, because a lot of people come to us after they've tried other psychedelics, right? Maybe it's psilocybin or ayahuasca or ibogaine or one of these, or even MDMA or any of these. And the ketamine experience is genuinely a different kind of experience. It may not be as wonky and psychedelic looking. People actually have face-to-face with some of their past and real life experiences. And so it becomes a whole nother thing of what they're painting out, to be honest. Sometimes it's maybe painting out something that, yes, that they saw, but for example, I can share something with you guys because you guys will love this, because sometimes it's more of the emotion that they're feeling, right? And so what they're seeing, and it's similar because we're avatars right now, right? So it's similar to, they may be seeing it, but they know exactly what that is, right? I have one actually painting that's in my spatial gallery of a patient. And this is really cool. So she had told me during the thing, during integration, we don't do art the day of treatment, to be honest, because people are usually really groggy after. People have to have a driver. They can't drive afterwards. And so the experience itself is really an inward journey at that point. People usually don't talk during it. It's not like psilocybin or even ayahuasca or anything where you're having these convulsions and stuff on the floor. It's nothing like that. People have an eye mask on, and literally I have a weighted blanket on them, and it's just this beautiful, calm experience. Peaceful. I do a lot of meditation. Yeah, it's very peaceful. And I teach meditation, right? So we set our intention before the journey and, really lead them into it that way. And that really sets a stage really for an incredible experience, because now we are, the patients have already we've spoken to them so many times that we're ready. They're ready for whatever comes up. There was this one patient though that she was explaining one of her journeys to me, and I kind of figure out okay, how could we recreate that, or maybe she should do it on canvas. And this patient was really artistic, and she did a great job and had some great skill. And so she actually drew it out, and it was, she said, well, there was this gigantic snail, like a slug, and he came above me, and all of a sudden he came over me and he ate me. And I was like, oh. And she's like, and I said, well, how did that feel? And she's like, oh, it was great. And I was like, okay. And she's like, it was my wisdom. I became my wisdom. And so that's kind of what people end up painting out is more of the emotion, right? That they're feeling. Yeah. And so even though she may have seen it like that, she knew exactly what that was, and so many cases of this. We've been doing this work now for 5 years, and I have rooms full of art of these similar stories. Yeah. So you guys will definitely have to check that out. Some drop into spatial anytime. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
So up on the screen right now, we have a little bit of something different that you, this is wearable art. So I saw this, I thought it was really great. So you've taken artwork that you've created and then put it onto clothing. And I saw on your site that there was a lot of it that you are doing like that. So what inspired that?
Well, my clothing lines kind of came out. First, I started making scarves. That was part of it. It was really scarves in the beginning, a lot of scarves. And then I ended up kind of just moving in with different marketing and all sorts of stuff. And then, but I will tell you, my resin paintings, which is the one above, the piece within, that painting is actually a poured resin painting. And those, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced resin, but it's just amazing. It's like you pour it and then it's different, cures at different levels.
Texture,
and and so those ended up becoming really cool, abstract, more for the clothing. That one painting up there, Heaven Sent, that's actually a huge mixed media painting. And so when I painted that one, it's huge. It's 48 by 60. That one did turn into a line of robes and scarves and I think a bag even. So it really depends. And so I work with different manufacturers and literally decide on, the art, of course. I make the art, and then I just design it, and then I actually call my manufacturers my cutters, my sewers, because I can't cut and sew. So I'll design it, but and then they, it's branded and everything. So it's been really beautiful to be able to bring it out. But the whole reason behind it was literally about, art that heals. All my work is in hospitals and different healing spaces. And because my heart and soul is in that space, I felt like, you should be wearing stuff that makes you feel good, right? And so more of like the empowerment line and stuff like that is most of my work now. So it's been really cool to put together and just kind of see how it goes. I mean, one thing kind of leads to another. I went in to build one spatial gallery and I'm building 4. So, you just start going in it, and it's just so much fun. And creativity for me, I just don't stop. There was one point when I had the gallery, actually, the Metro Detroit is where I'm from, and there was a big magazine there called Our Detroit, and they actually named me the face of creativity because I don't stop. I mean, I was having classes, I had clothing lines, and my own work was everywhere. So
cool.
They were like, okay, you are out of control. And then I just, when I closed that, you can see now that people thought I died. I won't lie. There's rumors out there that I died. And then you guys have to understand, I fell into VR fitness during this point, right? When I closed my art gallery. And so suddenly I'm working out like a banshee and I lost 100 pounds. So then people really didn't recognize me and were like, what happened to Jacqueline? And it's been funny because we're back in the building that I was in before. And so any of the city events that we do there, people will come up to me and they'll be like, wasn't this Jacqueline's gallery? And I'm like, I'm Jacqueline. And they're like, no. I'm like, no, I am. And so it's been so really funny. And it wasn't even an avatar. It was just, I lost 100 pounds. So wow. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. And yeah, it's been a whole journey. The clothing lines though are so much fun. And recently, I would say in the last year, I kind of went into the clothing line side of it because I do swim and there's this whole other part to me. So and I swim for exercise and water aerobics type stuff. Hence the mermaid. So that's it. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the fitness stuff that you do, because you do a lot of things in VR. And you mentioned to me before a little bit about the fitness things that you've been working on and working with. One is very similar to Beat Saber, and then there's other programs. Right here, we have a little quote from someone who actually wrote an article and talked about you in there and how you're using Dance Fit and stuff to actually help heal people. So talk a little bit about the fitness end of it. The art, I think people understand, pretty easily to be able to put your emotions out, makes you feel. But, fitness, I think a lot of people have such a stigma over, I have to work out. Like, and it's like, sure, but it can be exhilarating and it can be a great stress release as well and help people. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's really funny because I still don't call it a workout. I still don't, because just for that reason, right? Just for that reason. And so I call it dancing. I always have, even on all my videos, everything I make, because to me, really, and obviously understanding more of how these movement, apps are programs, a lot of it has to do with we're reading patterns, right? Everything I do in VR is all about the mind. And if it's not from creating to help heal it, or if it's to movement. And movement for me in VR is really about following the patterns, right? And being able, I'm old, so I like to think if if I can move this fast, holy moly, right? But there's been a lot. So I did start off with Supernatural. That was one of the first ones, obviously, that was out then. And then that kind of led to me exploring other things. I was FitXR for a long time too, and we may have worked out together back then. But yeah, I kind of dabble into a lot of them right now. And what I find how it especially the apps and programs that I recommend to our patients, right? I have a whole list. I actually have a new school platform that, I'm building that I'm inviting people into. And it's more about learning about why we're doing this, right? Not even so much about VR, but being able to be in these spaces, right? Being inside these immersive spaces and really what is happening to our minds. And that's my absolute love to talk about. And it's probably what he was, when he quoted me in that, we were talking about that. But it really is about the space that we go into. It's about how we feel in here. And, you guys all know, especially in the audience, that dropped in here, right? I mean, it's amazing to be able to do this, first of all, but what's it doing to our minds, right? Being in these spaces with people from all over the world, and we're having these conversations. It's so good for so many reasons. I mean, not only just depression, but there's so many other reasons. But the fitness aspect is just, there's so much to it, meaning obviously when your movement, the dopamine, serotonin, and all these oxytocin, all of that is happening, right? So I always think you have your physical body. We all know what happens when you work out there, right? But what's happening to our mindset when we're in these spaces? How does the game make you feel? How is it, are you getting out your angst? I mean, there's certain games that I list that I tell people to do for their anxiety. Right. I tell people to do these other ones for this reason and for that reason. And so, Parkinson's patients, I tell them to do boxing. Definitely. Heck yeah. Get in there and do some boxing, because it's the left right is what, the crossover with the mind. I mean, there's so many reasons, physical reasons, right? But there's also this mental space of really what we're doing in here. And that's kind of what I like to focus on with not only my patients, but obviously when I talked to, I think that was Upload VR is when I spoke with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely for myself. I know that when I first started working out, I was like, oh, I want to stay in shape, whatever. But the more I started working out, the better I was like, oh, you know what? I'm having a very stressful day. I need to go work out. It became something that I felt as not just a stress release, but like you said, angst. You have a bad day at work, go home, work out. You feel better. You're all pumped up now. And now you can just go enjoy your evening and you kind of like wash away all of the things that were bogging you down, because during that time you're focused on something else. And it's funny. Over the years, I'm actively involved with dog rescue, and cool. a lot of people who adopt from us have been sent to adopt a dog by their doctor, because the doctor will say it will help with depression because you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about another living being that requires your care. And, obviously within reason, there's some people who can and can't, but, at the same time, it's true when you're not dwelling and your mind gets freed from that, you actually can, move forward a few steps at a time. And it's a great progression. So I love that that's how you're viewing the working out.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Sorry about that. I put the battery.
A floating mermaid.
Am I floating still? There we go. Sorry about that.
Let's talk about, let's move forward and talk a little bit about your personal VR experience. So not just everybody else that you've been helping, because you've done a lot. You've done your YouTube channel, like you said. You have the videos. You have your TV show. You're doing a lot for everyone else, but you also have had your own journey. You wrote a book, so let's talk a little bit about where you've gone.
Yeah, the book was interesting. The book actually just kind of launched because there's this other part to. It was about 2 weeks ago, actually. So we're kind of changing. The ketamine industry basically is kind of changing. So that's why my book came out. I had to literally kind of change the ending on it, to be honest. And so I launched it. But it's really my story of getting into this. And not only about VR, though. The whole book is really what everybody keeps seeing. They read it. They're like, wow, that's not at all what I thought it was going to be about. And the book is called How I Found the Present Moment in Another Reality. And so it really focuses on finding your authentic self and how I found my authentic self and finding that within the space. And it really has to do with presence and being in this. And just like we are right now, feeling your presence literally across from me, so I talk a lot about that in the book, and really about obviously my own journey into it. But there's not very much about like the weight loss experience and all that. I think I have one line in my book about the weight loss, but I did lose 98 pounds in VR.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was a lot of tears and whatnot. And, but I tell everybody, just get in there and just move and dance. Like I said, I never would call it a workout. And I know a lot of the big workout apps get upset about that, but to me, it's a dance. And it will always be a dance. I mean, you're hitting targets to beats. You're dancing. You're dancing no matter what to some sort of music. And I like to keep my body moving. And if you've seen any of the videos, I definitely move.
Right.
But yeah, and then the thing about this book, though, the book is really short. And when you guys read it, it's not very long. But there is another book that goes with it, and that's the guidebook and integration book. And that's the part that I've built the school on, where people will be able to go through. Each chapter basically in the guidebook is similar to some of the lessons I kind of learned along the way in the main book, basically. Mm-hmm. And then the guidebook kind of gives you things to do with or without the headset, which has been really cool. So, I have a lot of patients that don't have it, right? But they want to learn more meditation, mindfulness practices, or maybe they want to just move their body differently or do something healthy for their body. And so the guidebook is literally about doing something every day. And it doesn't even take 5 minutes to do any of this stuff, but it's literally about something for your mind, something for your body, and something for your spirit. And I like to think I find people's spirits, right? Meaning, they're that creative spirit again. I can't tell you how many people, oh my goodness, especially like our patients, right? They'll come to me and I'll say, I'll ask them what they do for a living. And like prime example, I just had a guy not too long ago and I asked him what he did, and he was an accountant. And I was like, well, that's a nice job. And he's like, well, I went to school for graphic arts. And I was like, whoa. Now I see why you're depressed. I get now where your depression comes from. And it was like, it made sense to me. If you are not doing something that you love and literally it's not there anymore, and part of your heart, part of your soul, your spirit, whatever you guys want to call it, isn't there. It's just like, and so finding that again is really what I love to do. And that's kind of what my books are both about, is finding that authentic self again and really getting people to either, think differently and mindfully. And it's really a shift. At the Drake Center, we talk about consciousness, right? A lot, and subconscious mind stuff and all that. And basically we like to think of, and butterfly is a big thing for us. And so the butterfly itself, we like to, in my children's book is actually about a butterfly and a caterpillar. So, but we like to think of our patients when they come in through the door and they first come to us for an intake visit, or even a consultation, we like to think of people as they come to us as caterpillars, because, they're just in their own world. And even in my children's book, it's literally about a caterpillar that kind of goes about life, doopy-doo, just kind of hanging out. And then he realizes there's a change needs to happen. Something needs to shift, right? And that is the butterfly consciousness, is what we like to talk about. So it's been really cool to be able to put all this together and, and really create something amazing and healing for people right now. So it's kind of an all worlds for me right now. The VR world and my IRL. It's pretty cool.
I love that you've been able to meld the two of them together and give the best of both to everyone that you're working with. So I assume you have some headsets at your practice where people can come in and learn about it and then maybe go get their own so that they can do it at home, but giving them that opportunity to feel what the immersive world is like and kind of decide if that's the right journey for them. So that's pretty amazing. Let me ask you, what do you think, or I should say, like, what are your hopes for the future with creators and artists and technology working together to try and help people heal and grow in other ways as well?
Yeah, I hope to see it in more medical side of it. I really do. Knowing how it works and going through my own depression and my whole thing, if you guys read the book, you'll see, but like knowing how it really works on the mind, being inside these immersive spaces and how much healing that could really happen. I've put people of all ages into VR. I mean, my great little's actually, I think it was on one of the shows I did, but a 98-year-old into VR. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, right? And I put her inside of a coloring book, and literally, so she could just literally, very simple, just tap at things, and she lit the world up, right? And coloring inside. To be almost 100 years old and to be inside of a coloring book, like her mind was like, wow. So if anything, I would like to see it more developed in a way that was more not only accessible, but easy to operate, but also in ways that people respect it that way, right? Because I feel even though I have all of this stuff in VR, right? And I have a television show, I have all these things, there's still this space that people are like, oh, VR. And I'm like, there's so much more. And so if I really, if I had a wish, that I would hope that we're beyond that now, and we're just using this technology really what it can do, right? Mm-hmm. Not only uniting everybody and connecting and having that connection, but really doing some healing work with it, either through movement or through meditation, obviously is incredible in VR. And that was kind of how I got into it in the first place, was using Trip really back then. Yeah. And so I love anything with the meditation apps, because I think some of them really get it. Being inside these immersive spaces can really be amazing for your mind and allow people to just land and settle. I was just going to say, back to mind settling though, with the more faster patterns, right? I like a lot of the apps that you move fast, right? So you're moving really fast. Beat Saber, one of them, obviously. Star Wave is another one. But where you're moving really fast to patterns, and Synth Riders is another one that I do often.
I love
so
that
it's
one.
the heart of the patterns, right? For me is what really lands our minds, right? And if you think about it, how meditation works, when you're in these spaces, it just adds more like ammunition, really. It just makes it incredible. But it really allows your mind, once you're so focused, right, on these patterns coming at you. And if you're like me, trying to beat a leaderboard or something, or somebody on that leaderboard, you're pretty focused, right? And so all of that focus goes, and then all of a sudden you're like, whew, and then the thoughts of the day are gone, right?
Yeah.
I'm not worrying about what I'm making for dinner, or, who I've got to get to wear, kid wise. Like, I'm just in it. And worries and fear. Yeah. And worries and fears and everything else are just not there. And I always tell people, how do you feel when you take off the headset? Because the reality is, it's how you feel after. Do you feel grounded? Do you feel centered? Do you feel, wow, holy crap, I just moved that fast, is usually what I'm thinking, but I can't believe I moved that fast. I'm this old. So.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, you definitely come out of it feeling a different way. There are times when I've been having a bad day and I'm not in the mood to work out. Instead, I'll put it on and listen to music. Like, I'll go into a world with one of the video players and just put on a concert of one of my favorite artists and just sit there and chill. And it's blocked. Everything is blocked out because it's literally me sitting right there focused on that. And things are going on around me, but I lose the outside world for a little bit so that I can get calm and peaceful and then take it off. And I'm like, okay, what next? And but I'm refreshed. I feel refreshed. That's one of the best ways that I feel when I come out of the headset sometimes. So after a workout or after music. Yeah. And I love that. The art is beautiful. Music is beautiful. All of everything that is sensory that you can take advantage of when you're in the headset, it just enhances life in general. It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
And even interaction with the people. The fact that we can feel that you have the phantom sense of a person being right there with you, even though you're not, you're pixels, but you can't tell me that in the moment. In the moment, you are right there. And it's a beautiful thing that your mind can actually get to that level and make you feel a completely different reality is very real.
I love that. I love it. I think one of the lines I wrote in my book was that, especially talking about like the stigma of it and all that, it was literally like, what are we escaping from really? Like, everybody claims it's escapism of some sort, gaming in general, right? Like, oh, you're just saying, and then throw in the VR and you're actually in it, right? It's a whole nother level. And I literally wrote, like, what are we escaping from? Depression, anxiety, fear? I mean, the world, my God, the world is kind of crazy, right? So maybe it's nice to be able to find a space that you can just breathe just for a few seconds. And that's what I find with the meditation apps, there's the tech wise is just amazing. You can actually see your breath work. So, it's to me a little cooler than just a yoga class because you can actually see, moving it out. So the haptics and all that you're right, just add another sensory experience to it.
The haptics are really cool. That is one of the best parts about working out in here and actually feeling that, people say, oh, well, you're just punching air. And it's like, yeah, but you have the feel, you have the haptic when you hit, that you hit some things. And it's a psychological trick, but it works really, really well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's, yeah. I love to try to explain that to people and they're like, no. I'm like, no, really.
It's
And
true. It's very true.
and if you guys ever see any of my boxing videos, I literally call it dance boxing. I do. I am a dance boxer. There's no other word for it. I still have a great right hook, though, I tell everybody. But I dance box with it. I really do. I try to not to make it so work out or die type of thing. But, you know, I just can't do that
Zumba
energy
box.
at all. Yeah. I'm more like, hey. Yeah. But it's so much fun, though. Well, I'll have to work out with you, definitely. For sure.
Absolutely. So if people wanted to get in touch with you and learn a little bit more, we've put up your Discord there and also the website for the Drake Center.
Excellent.
But yeah, you know, it would be great, you know, if you could send me maybe the name of a couple of your spatial galleries over there. I will put them in the Discord for people if they want to go take a look over and take a journey into there. We have a lot of people in the audience who are very familiar with spatial. We were actually Crypto City was in spatial for a season, so we've all kind of you know had our spatial legs, but very cool. So I would love to share that with people. So if they want to go over and check it out, they'll have the info.
Okay, that sounds perfect. Yeah, there I built. There's 4 in there, so it's like one is like I call it like my main gallery, and then there's a patient art exhibit. Then I have Morphe. Morphe is my children's book, which I actually made it for the Metaverse, and then for my 50th birthday last year, my husband actually got it somehow. We took my files basically, and put it and published it. So
I love that. Nice.
Yeah. So Morphe's actually in different realities, but I really made him or read the story to be able to walk through and to be in it. And it's literally about a caterpillar. He goes on a mindful journey, and it's a really sweet story. You know, and he finds his authentic self actually, but which is pretty neat. So yeah, it's definitely. If you can definitely put that up, and I would love for you guys to drop in.
Absolutely, that would be wonderful. So, are there any other projects that you have coming up in the near future over here in VR Chat or in any other platform?
Well, really, I'm building my school platform right now, which is really, really fun because it's basically I'm liking to think of it as like it's a place for all my stuff. To be honest, it's a platform for everything, and especially if people are. Yeah, exactly. It's got my YouTube channel. It's got everything. So if you guys want to find me there, I can definitely send you the link for that. But it will be classes. It's all sorts of stuff. It's classes. It's meetups. It's also obviously my YouTube channel and my television show, but it's also a place for people. It's a community. So you basically build a community around a core, you know, stuff, a niche, if you want to call it, and then you do other things. And then, so that's what I'm building right now. And it's been really exciting to try to build it. And then the workbook, of course, it will take pieces out of that, which is like daily practices and stuff, VR or not VR. So yeah.
Nice.
So amazing. That's my current project.
Well, it's such a great journey that you've been on, and I love that you're using VR to help people. That is a niche that we need more of. You know, I think that it's great. VR gives everybody a platform to expose their creativity in different ways. And this is a way that we haven't really seen much of. We've seen a lot of the meditation. You know, meditation is very big over here. Like you said, a lot of us got tripped when we first came in. A lot of us came in as COVID kids. You know, we all came in because we were sitting at home, needed something to do. And trip was something that was very necessary at the beginning because we needed a place to clear our heads because we were locked in the house. We were stressed. We were scared. People were sick. Nobody really knew what was going on. And that was a great app to kind of just give you a break from reality for a bit. But I love seeing that now you're growing with that and doing so much more. So thank you for coming on and sharing your journey.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Well, thank you for having me. This has been amazing, and meeting everybody in the audience. And this has been absolutely incredible. And beautiful space, beautiful space built. So,
nice. Thank you. So next week we will have Yadada Queen on. She will be on. She is a musician here in the Metaverse. She's
cool.
Out in California. So we will have her on next week to talk to her. Yada has done so much over here in Horizon and in VR Chat. So we're excited to have her
very
here.
Cool. Very cool.
So thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for coming to hang out with us tonight. And we appreciate you being here. And we will see you next Monday night. Thank you. Okay, cut.